You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians. Welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right. We are back, and we don't have new Doctor Who to talk about, but we do have something new for us to talk about.
I was going to say, kind of sort of new.
Yeah, exactly. You're completely right, Mike. We are going to be talking about the Celestial Toymaker, finally available after many, many years, 57 years, actually. And God, that makes me old because it came out, the originals came out the year before I was born. So it was just like
out the year after I was born.
See? So, and Mike was just a wish in his parents' eyes still.
Yeah, it was not even on the table.
No pun intended. But, it's pretty, amazing that we finally got this, because this is one of those lost episodes, and the only one that was surviving was episode 4. And so we've been able to watch previously. You were able to see it up on YouTube, and also Doctor Who, the lost episodes. They came out with a set years ago with just bits and pieces, and they also had the audios, and so you were able to hear the audio of it. But the audio watching this now didn't even do justice to it. Hell, I read the books from Target Novelizations. It didn't even do justice to this. So I'll be very curious to hear what you guys thought about this one. I'd be very curious to see what you guys at home did. And of course, thank you guys for everything at home. You guys gave us amazing numbers during the new series of Doctor Who. Our numbers were out of this world, and thank you. From the bottom of my heart, we do appreciate it. And not just up on audio, also up on video, up on the YouTube channel. So thanks. We do appreciate not just the live episodes that we just did about 2 weeks ago. This is now we're talking all about, what we did throughout the season. Yeah, it was 8 episodes, but still, it was great to talk about new Doctor Who. And now we got to wait till December. But thank you. And if you're watching us or listening to us, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it and such. Let's check with our regulars, of course. We have Mr. Mike Gordon here.
Howdy.
How are you, my friend?
I am here. I'm not invisible. I'm not fading out or anything. I'm just. I'm.
How do you know that? And how are you sure?
I was going to say
I think you would be able to tell me, right? So
he would just be a floating baseball cap or a fez.
I think you guys would be able to tell me. So.
But would we tell you?
Well, that's a whole other question.
Exactly. That's very true. And Ms. Mary Ogle was here, of course.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here on the Creepy Clown Podcast.
The Creepy Clown Podcast. It was interesting to watch. I really, it was a lot of fun to do, and we'll get into it in a few minutes. Remember, we are going to be spoiling this one if you haven't seen it.
In the last 57 years.
We're going to spoil this thing that's been out for, that came out 57 years ago, but
you couldn't watch it. A lot of
people haven't seen it yet.
I was going to say you couldn't. Yeah, it's pretty new for a lot of people. So
exactly
for me.
Exactly. So it was kind of new for me because this is the first time me actually seeing it. But like I said earlier, I read the books and I've listened to some of the audio of it in the past. So I thought this was also very appropriate. Since we had the giggle a couple months back, that we should dive into the Toymaker and get to see his other appearance. But, this was not supposed to be his only appearance either. And So this is going to be a lot of fun to get into tonight. Of course, thank you as always. Let's hop into a little bit of Doctor Who news. Basically, from what I've heard, Doctor Who is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. That's right, folks. If, we're recording this today is the 23rd, but if, you're actually listening to this when it comes out, you've already missed it, the Hall H big thing, because it's at San Diego. Our patrons will be able to hear it and be able to go, oh, awesome. Doctor Who's going to be there. But I'm sure it'll also be all over YouTube and everything like that. And I'm hoping we're going to hear some stuff about Doctor Who in, coming into, the new spinoff that we're getting, because that's starting to film in September. It'd be awesome, actually, if they brought out some of the cast and everything. It would be great to, because they've said, that we're going to get Martha, so we're going to get Freema and maybe some of Unit. And it might be even great to see rumor going around that Eve Miles is going to be part of this also as Gwen.
That would be cool.
I just hope that, I haven't seen anything about, what's on the agenda or anything like that. So, do we know if Nshuti's going to be there? Because I hope he is, because even if there's not a lot of Doctor Who news, for him to make a public appearance in front of a hot San Diego crowd, I just think that would do a lot to do for the franchise. It would just be like, he needs to be out front and center whenever anybody's talking about Doctor Who on an official capacity, I think. And
I almost guaranteed. I already know RTD is going to be there.
Yeah, so. And that's fine. He's a showrunner and everything, but you really need I think we all agreed that Gatwa was the best thing about this first season back and everything. And I think just keep pushing him and just keep making sure that he stands out there and people associate him with the Doctor, because I think that's the way to go. Because if you ride on his coattails, I think we'll be fine. Because I think he can more than handle this franchise.
Oh,
and
very
being the
much
face of this franchise for, as you pointed out, a long time, hopefully.
I hope so too. I really hope he's going to be around for a long time, and he wants to be. So, seeing unforeseen circumstances that, I think we're going to have a very popular Doctor, and I really think he is going to become the face of the franchise.
So having him in front of a hot San Diego pumped crowd and getting people excited, and that would speak volumes, I think. And
being in Hall H is like no experience ever. William and I did that many years ago. We got to see Matt Smith and Karen and Moffat, and it was amazing. The crowd they had the crowd in their hand, but it was just such an enthusiastic crowd because that's what people are there to see. And it's pretty awesome. And just San Diego is, no slight against Dragon Con or New York Comic Con or any of the other big shows. San Diego is, a media con, and it's where the big boys roll out stuff. Marvel's going to be back this year. You're going to get stuff for DC. You're going to get a lot of different things. You'll have Star Trek. You're going to have so much stuff. Doctor Who deserves to be in Hall H, and I'm going to be very happy to see that.
Yeah. And yeah, I think San Diego over the last few years has kind of lost its luster a little bit, but I think with this year in particular, as you said, Marvel and DC are going to be doing big things there this year. So I think Doctor Who needs to be right in that conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point you brought up about San Diego is the one that gets the most media coverage. So if we want, Doctor Who to be front and center, then we need to be in the places that the media are.
Sure. Exactly. No, and that's the best way to think about it. So hopefully by the time we talk to you again in 2 weeks, we'll have tons of stuff to talk to you about.
That would be nice.
So it would be very cool. So maybe we'll have, the trailer for the Christmas special, or even something for season 2 or season 15. You never know.
Never know.
Hell, it'd be kind of cool if they introduced the new companion, even though we already know who it's going to be. So
that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be really great to have. I can't remember her name now, but if she was there, and Millie too, you know,
mm-hmm.
I mean, because
of course,
I know Millie's going to be
there
there
part of it too.
Yeah, so just to like let people know, because even though the season their season has ended, I mean, a lot of people still can catch it. Like, I mean, you know, so I think it's still valid, and it's still something that you need to remind people, like, hey, you can watch this right now. Like,
exactly.
Please do. Exactly. Please do.
You know, yeah, exactly. You can watch it back in your hotel room. Go stream Disney, you know, type thing.
So, yeah. So, because, anything that would pump up the franchise. And like I said, I can't think of any better cheerleader to have at the head as the face than Shooty.
Agreed completely with that. So wait and see, folks. You know, I wish we could tell you more. And I just remembered another piece of Doctor Who news that we missed out on for our last episode and everything. Ready for this, folks? Something we didn't expect at all. Jodie is coming back to Doctor Who. That's right, folks.
That's right, she is.
That's right, she is.
She's not coming alone
13.
either, right? Mandip too?
Manda too. Is she? Yeah. Both of them are going to be back for Big Finish.
That's fast.
Yes, I was shocked when I found out. But that also shows how much of an affection she has for the character. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that she really loved playing the Doctor. And, you know, so they're going to be doing all new original stories featuring, you know, Yaz and the Doctor.
I hope she gets some really good stories.
And no Chibnall involved, which is even better. All right, who had 4 minutes and 52 seconds into the show? So I think it's pretty awesome that we're getting that. We're also getting The Fugitive Doctor, another series too, her own series.
That's cool.
So they announced, actually completely blew me away, because they were, you know, that the anniversary special where they did all the different Doctors with different companions or villains out of time, that for Big Finish, they're doing an extra one that's going to feature Joe Martin's Doctor, which is pretty darn amazing. So I'm going to be very curious to see, you know, what it comes up to and how it works out. And it's supposed to actually have the War Doctor as part of it too. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I'll be very curious to see, you know, what it comes out to, where we go with it, and how they're doing, you know, her character too. So I'm very happy that they're bringing her in. And then after this story is over, I know they're doing a full season of her too. So. And I guess we'll stick with Big Finish, because we got some other Big Finish news also, that the Paternoster gang is going to be meeting the second Doctor.
Yay.
So, you know, we're already planning in the fall to start doing some of the new Paternoster gang's tales. And so we're going to be picking those up. And when I saw that you had me at the second Doctor, just the plus having, you know, Vastra, Jenny, and Strax, it's just like, okay, you know, you got it. So I'll be very curious to see that one too.
Good. Yeah, I think the Paternoster Gang series was one of the better ones that I've ever heard from Big Finish. So that the fact that we're going to get more, I hope everybody is involved, as you know, writing wise and behind the scenes, because they did such a great job with. I think that series was called Heritage, right?
Yes.
Series. Yes.
And it was just so good and entertaining, and more, please. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So here. Should I just sign my paycheck over to Big Finish for the next?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think, you know, but bravo on them for getting some amazing stuff going on over there.
Yeah, boy, you can't fault Big Finish. They are going after all the best people.
No, exactly. So, you know, I'm still waiting for Matt Smith and Capaldi to, you know,
And they're
jump
losing
on
Chris
board.
for a while, right? I mean, Chris said he's going to be done for a while. Like the one he's doing now or whatever is going to be the last
Yeah,
one he's doing.
Eccleston said
I mean, he didn't say he'd never come back.
No,
but
no.
said he was
He
gonna
just said he was
step
going to be
away.
done for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. He didn't say when hell freezes over that he'll come back to it.
But,
No,
he
because-
said that before, so that doesn't mean much anyway.
We actually have in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing the River Song and Ninth Doctor story.
Yeah, that should be
So-
good.
That is just going to be awesome.
That's going to be fun.
I can't wait for. So it should be a ton of fun, folks. And Big Finishes are generally really good stories. There's a couple clunkers in there, but definitely, folks, check them out if you have not. And once again, we do not get paid from Big Finish. We're not doing this.
They are not a sponsor.
Exactly.
Although we're open to it.
We are always open to sponsors. Just write us feedback at ourstationwho.com if you feel like sponsoring this wonderful podcast. We would be glad to take care of that. And, having these three wonderful people here to, talk about your brand, we would do that for you. Totally. So definitely check that out. So there's other Doctor Who news out there, but a lot of it's been garbage. So we are not going to touch on it or anything.
Yeah, we don't actually call that news, Mike.
No,
Yeah.
It isn't news. It's just garbage.
Yeah.
It's just garbage.
It is not worth talking about.
As my uncle used to say when we were growing up, Ruth, what is this garbage you're feeding the children? So it's like, it's the same. It feels like the same thing. So it goes that way. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be back in a minute. And we're going to jump in with both feet to the Celestial Toymaker.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
When Worf found out that Keiko O'Brien was having another baby.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
Blindfolded martial arts with glowy sticks.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek?
When Wei Yun said, well, time to start packing. Start it off again, Veronica.
What's the funniest thing in Star Trek? Quark killed a Klingon.
Find more on Earth Station Trek, a podcast about Star Trek.
On the ESO Network.
Welcome back. Now we are talking about the Celestial Toymaker. We are going back to April 1966, and we are looking at one of the lost episodes. We are looking at the Celestial Toymaker featuring the First Doctor. We also had Steven and Dodo. Boy. So it was fun to watch and to actually be able to see it. I know when we saw the stills from what the animation was going to be, all of us were like, what the hell is this? Type thing. It was computer animation to me at some of its worst. But as I started watching it, I like what they did with the animation, if that makes any sense.
I like what they did with the toys. I think it worked really well with the toys. I'm not so sure
Very
it
much
worked so
so.
well for the people.
Yeah,
No,
I
the
think,
people looked awful. The people
I
were
think
just...
the idea of doing this particular story in computer graphics makes sense because it's a gaming kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
So to have it have sort of a gaming type of, like you see from like any video game cutscenes kind of thing, not playable scenes, sequences and stuff like that, animation like that makes a lot of sense. And they were able to do things and make it much more surreal than what the original story called for, because as I understand it, the original story and some of the stills I saw, it's very bare bones. They didn't have much of a budget as usual, but even more so, I think, in this one. So they were actually able to do some things and make it even more of a more trippy, like a lot of the stuff they did with the Toymaker himself, making him large and doing stuff with the Doctor being invisible and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, I really found the animation just piss poor. I mean, I hate to really rag on people who do work for a living, but man, I was just like, this is like, I mean, I saw stuff better than this in like with video toasters in the 90s, you know, like this is just painful. Like, this was really, really difficult for me to get into and to take seriously because I kept, the animation took me out of it so much. I'm, you know, and the story and everything else is a mess too, so that doesn't help. But yeah, this was. I just did not find this a fun experience. I thought the idea to do it this way was not a bad one, but the execution was really bad, I thought.
I mean, I feel like I enjoyed the first 2 episodes more than I thought I was going to. Like about halfway through, I'm like, this is actually kind of enjoying this. And then it was just the same thing for the next 2 episodes. It was so repetitive. There's no story really. And so it just, it really started breaking down.
I had no idea we were going to get a Dr. Light episode too.
Right.
Well, apparently, in reading like the behind the scenes stuff, this was the producers, one of their ways of like getting rid of Hart. I mean, they were thinking of at the end when the Doctor reappears, it being a completely different actor. This is way before they thought of regeneration or anything like that. So they were just kind of tired of Hartnell at his age, not. And the producers didn't get along with him for various reasons, but it's really interesting. Like earlier this afternoon, as we're recording this, I was watching Turner Classic Movies, and they were showing an old movie, a British movie from 1943 called The Dark Tower, and it stars a very young William Hartnell, and this is like 43, so he's 20 years younger in this. And
exactly.
It's really wild seeing young, and he's credited as Bill Hartnell, and it's just really fun watching him there, and he's so full of life and everything like that. And and unfortunately at this, in this, I mean, you're right, this is a Dr. Light episode. He's not in it a lot. It really depends on the companions, which I don't think are the best companions ever, and the Toymaker himself, which unfortunately, because the animation is so bad, we don't get to see the wonderful Michael Gough actually get to play the Toymaker.
It's interesting because, how we were talking about it, Hartnell was on vacation for episodes 2 and 3. And that wasn't even his hand. They had a stunt up, a stunt hand.
A stunt hand.
Basically.
Yeah.
And they pre-recorded any audio that they used with the Doctor. And so it was interesting with that. But you're right. The John Willies, who was the producer who was hired to do the story, was clashing big time with Hartnell. And they were just not getting on. And he had brought up the idea, since Hartnell already was having health issues and he was already having, some, other, clashes with his vision of what Doctor Who should be and with, the creators. And, so they had talked about, possibly replacing Hartnell, and that was going to be the excuse. And Willies, was pushing that, that when the Doctor disappeared, that would be the last time you saw the first Doctor, and he would come back as a completely new man. And it was, nixed from higher up, and pretty much, Willies quit the production like right before it was supposed to go to production and everything.
Yeah. There were 2 producers because Innes was there too, and the scripts were, the original script that was turned in. This is nothing like like someone else came in to do rewrites. Donald Tosh did rewrites on the script that Brian Hales did. And it's just like, and then, somebody else came in as a script editor, Jerry Davis, and he made rewrites. And then they got the budget cut big time because the guy before who was crashing, he just wanted to burn the production people, so he spent all of the money that he could on making the Ark storyline. So they had no money. That's why the Toymakers dressed up like Marco Polo, because they used the same outfit because they didn't have any different outfits. So it was really, really handicapped by a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
No, it totally makes sense.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy that they went through this and had so much issues behind the scenes. And I didn't think the story was so bad. I enjoyed it. Yes, it was very repetitive, the different games that Steven and Dodo had to go through. And, Dodo is not the smartest bulb on the, on the thing. So
and Steven's just
got that Dylan hat though.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was
Steven's
interesting.
Just running around going, I'm going to hit him. I'm going to hit him.
Exactly. And, it would have been interesting to see, the female clown and Dodo in the car, because they were trying with, doing the horn honking. And I wanted to see if there were, I don't even think there's pictures existing of it, of Steven trying to do that maze and being horizontal. And
I don't think he was.
Yeah, I doubt he was.
Yeah, right, they took a lot of liberties visually with it. There was no car. There was no I think it was. I don't think it went to it wasn't like a 3-dimensional kind of thing. I think it was just a maze. I don't. They took a lot of liberties with the visual, because I think the animators were like, yeah, the story is kind of weak. There's a darker light, so let's just beef this up visually as much as we can. And I think they had a pretty weak budget as well. I think if you gave this same team another 6 months, this probably would have been much better looking. But as it was, I think it was just kind of unfortunate. And it's too bad because we just got reintroduced to the Toymaker, as you said, with the David Tennant specials. But even before that, we had heard so much about him as a villain. He's shown up in Big Finish. He's shown up in the comics. He's shown up in other stories. He's mentioned a couple times in TV continuity and all that. So the Toymaker has been one of those big figures that people are like, yes, we want to know more about him. We've heard he's a really imposing guy and a great villain, played by an amazing actor. Like I said, Michael Goh is always he just gives a great performance. And according to the things I was reading, he loved doing this so much so that his wife at the time, he was like, come on and do this with me and all that kind of stuff. He was having a blast. So it's unfortunate that we don't get to see his performance. But I think at the end of the day, you see all this stuff about the Toymaker, you hear all this stuff about the Toymaker, and then you finally see this first story with the Toymaker, and you're like, ew.
It's a really interesting premise. The whole idea of it's not, I don't think the idea of it is bad. I think the idea of them being kind of a god's playthings is actually pretty interesting.
Yep,
and something Star Trek did many times also.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But right about the same time, actually.
Yeah, but I kept remembering the Star Trek episode, but
it's very Q-like, right? It's Doctor Who's version of Q, really.
Yeah,
right?
But Star Trek was even doing that back in the 60s.
Oh, true. Yeah, well, that's what you mentioned, Trelane. It was kind of I think it's been established in Star Trek continuity that he was part of the continuum now or something. But
I think so.
Yeah, sorry, that's off topic,
but anyway, and also, like I said, I enjoyed the first half of it. It was kind of fun seeing them wandering around and playing the games. It just kind of, for me, it started to become filler after that because it was kind of the same thing going on. And also, Steven and Dodo, not that interesting.
No, they are not.
They
kind of a jerk, actually. He really is. The way he was treating Dodo, And especially, like, I didn't think he was even going to help her when she sat in the chair and froze.
He's just like, oh,
yeah.
At
first he's just yelling at her about it.
Exactly.
He's like,
okay,
get up. It's like, I can't.
Look, you stupid.
Exactly, you
jerk.
stupid ninny. So,
yeah, because she's just like, I'm just going to sit down. I don't care.
Yeah, this episode leads right into one of our favorites.
Oh yeah, I don't even. What a horrible.
Everybody
double
starts
bill.
singing.
What a horrible double bill. This and then the gunfighters.
Yeah.
One thing that I really, really appreciated talking about the doctor and the Toymaker, the scenes in the beginning, the first part, and even the last part with the two of them were pretty cool. I love Doctor, encountering a big, powerful force and having a sort of equal figure to go up against. And this is, if not more so, and trying to outwit him and all of that. I mean, that just is awesome. That's just great stuff. And what really took me by surprise is the doctor says, like, he already knows him. He's like, yeah, I've been here before. I was about to
bring that up.
But I didn't stay because this is Toymaker's territory, and I'm out of here because I don't want to deal with him. And I was like, wow, he already knows him. And I'm like, that was pretty cool. We don't see that very often where the doctor at this early on, we don't see that he's already got history with things.
But it was also interesting because at the end of it, he says, oh, this is not the last time we'll see him.
Right.
He will be back, type thing.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't supposed to be.
Yep, exactly. Well, he was actually supposed to come back during the Colin Baker era, played by the same actor in 1985. But Doctor Who went on hiatus at that time, and with Colin Baker, and so I think it was called Nightmare Fair was supposed to be the story, and it was basically the Toymaker returning, and it would have they actually made that into a big Finish audio, so you can actually hear it.
Yeah, but not with Michael Gove.
No, but he was supposed to play him in the TV show.
Yeah.
So it would have been awesome if that would have been the case. But like you said, he's appeared in Big Finish and other ones, and also in the comics and other books. So, and then we got Neil Patrick Harris playing him. So
yeah, and that's a great, I think I don't have any complaints about that.
No, I thought he was great as the Toymaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
a much better story.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot here that. I mean, in watching this, maybe I'd have to go back and rewatch the one with Neil Patrick Harris, but I don't think he was able to pull a lot from this to incorporate. So that's kind of unfortunate, but maybe he did. Maybe it's just stuff that I'm looking at it again. I'd be like, oh, okay, that is something.
Well, that's right, because I was lucky enough to be able to watch it on the new Blu-ray. And they actually have the original fourth episode that you can watch it. And cool. After we watched it all the way through, and we did it in the original black and white, that I watched actually right before we recorded tonight. I watched the live episode, the live action one, to see how it matched up. And I actually liked the animated version even more.
Better. Well, they couldn't. I mean, the budget was so bare bones. It actually looks very different. The real live action episode. Mm-hmm. It's a very different feeling than from the animated one.
Right. Even the hopscotch game with Searle, it was just it was just like the tiles were just like this far off the ground in the action one, and where it made it look like they were like on pillars or something that you would fall to your death in the animated. And it was interesting, but it was nice to see the actors live to be able to just compare it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's always preferable, but unfortunately it's not the case for this one. And I think there's a few others that are still out there that, we won't, this is the only other option.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't even know if the audios exist for some of the others.
For the Celestial Toymaker?
No, for
No,
Oh,
some of the
for-
other missing
Or like
episodes.
Marco
Some of the
Polo
other-
and stuff like that.
with
Yeah.
the Savages.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but
So it'll be interesting to see. But was it great? No. But was it fun to sit around on a Saturday afternoon and while it was raining out and watch Doctor Who and even its beautiful animated form? Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I know Mike's shaking his head, so
sorry,
Says
I
no.
can't completely agree with that. I mean, it was interesting, but as Mary said, it got kind of redundant and tiresome. That third episode is just, I'm
That's
just
one
glad
of the
that
weakest
they're
episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, the ballroom dancing one? Yeah.
Yeah.
the only thing I give a lot of credit to the animators and the people who are doing this is they took out the racial slurs. So that's, I mean, it kind of surprised me that there were racial slurs in the original broadcast of this. Not cool, Doctor Who, not cool, but
Right.
at least that's been. I didn't know, okay, so for those people who don't know, in the original episode in Hall of Dolls, the King of Heart, when he recites the rhyme "Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo," he actually goes through the whole line, which is, if anybody knows their history, is not really that cool and not acceptable anymore. Using the N word and back at that time in 1966 in BBC, it was okay. But also I didn't know that the word celestial was a slur to describe Chinese people too. So I didn't really know that. And so the fact that the Toymaker is dressed up in this sort of, sort of this double entendre, right? Whereas on the one hand, the Toymaker is from outer space, but also he's dressed up in this Marco Polo gear, this sort of, Chinese sort of outfit. And it's sort of like, that's a weird play. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I did find that kind of weird. So kind of an interesting note there, but yeah, I can't fault him for that because obviously you can use the word in different ways, but yeah, just hate to see that the original one, and I think you can still get the soundtrack or whatever, and it still has the original bad line and all that kind of stuff. So.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's definitely racist overtones.
Oh,
with the
very
word
much
celestial and the way he's
it.
dressed.
Oh, yeah. Well, look how he's dressed, like you said.
Yeah, I can only imagine if we ever do get to see Marco Polo, that it will not be very
that
politically
correct.
correct.
I hate to say it, but it may
be
better off that that one doesn't exist
there,
anymore.
We might be shaking our heads going, whoa, because that's the one outside of this one. That's the other First Doctor story I think we've heard so much about, Marco Polo is really one of the better ones, and we really want to see that one. That's on the top of almost everybody's list as far as the First Doctor of ones to find, and hopefully restore at some point. But yeah, I do wonder if we did actually find that and see that, we'd be like, ooh, this is awkward.
Yeah, I'm sure there are at least awkward parts to it.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one? Okay. That said tons right there. That said tons. All right, folks. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Mary, I'm going to let you go first tonight.
I'm going to be kind of generous here and give it a 3. Because I did enjoy the first half of it. And, the animation kind of worked for the toys and the clowns because they were supposed to be these sort of surreal, not realistic characters. And so it wasn't quite, until you got to the dancing dolls, they were terrible. But yeah, I was okay with that. The playing cards actually looked kind of cool.
Yes.
The people were awful. They were just really bad. and that did kind of take me out of the story sometimes, though I also think it may have just been the characters of Stephen and Dodo who were not well written at all.
No.
But yeah, I don't think it really, give it a 3.
Okay. Mr. Mike.
I'm giving it a 1.5.
Wow.
Just
wow. Wow. Ouch.
I mean, the Doctor's not in it much. I mean, if you you could watch the first one and the first episode and the second episode and pretty much get what you need to out of this. The animation, like I said, I just couldn't. It just sometimes it gave me a headache. So I didn't really. It didn't really work for me. I saw what they were going for, but I just wish they'd been able to, I'm not looking for Disney animation, Disney or Pixar level animation here, but come on, people. But one thing that Mary just said that I wanted to note in that I thought was interesting is that in the beginning, the Toymaker kind of hints that his crew, the people that his toys, are people who have visited him and have failed the game. And these are actual people that are trapped in this sort of playroom of the Toymakers. And it's really creepy. And therefore, it adds this really weird, dark level to whenever Steven and Dodo are going up against these people, that these are actually victims. But Steven is just saying, he says over and over again throughout the rest of it that they're just creations of the Toymaker. Don't worry about them. Don't show them any sympathy. It's never really resolved whether or not that's true or not. I don't think they don't want to. I don't think the producers want to deal with that.
No,
but
when the playing cards were saying, we'll get back to be back to life.
Yeah.
If we win.
Yeah, the playing cards actually bring it up more than once. That they
a couple times.
People.
Yeah, and Steven's just they just did. It's a Toymaker messing with us. They're not real beings, and they're just things that he made up. And I'm like, it's really creepy the fact that they just really destroy all these people that have these people that have visited and been tortured for decades or centuries. We don't know. So I think that's a dark element that I think doesn't really pay off. But it is really, kind of a dark thing that kind of led me through the first couple of episodes. But then quickly I was just like, no, let's just get this over with.
Gotcha. No, I agree with that a lot, what you said. And I think even in the Giggle, the Toymaker, said, if you lose the game with me, you become, one of my toys.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with the Doctor and Steven and Dodo. He's like, you guys will lose, and you'll be my toys to play with for eternity or whatever. And that's the whole thing. That he's going up against. Episode, he had the chairs ready for them and everything. He was so convinced that they were going to lose. But the story gives you no real sympathy for them. No. Especially in the second half. They're just playthings that, especially that last one, he's just, you don't feel sorry for that guy at all.
No.
He is a true jerk. He is.
Yeah.
He's as evil as the Toymaker in some ways. He was trying to cheat and, do anything to make sure he won. But he got so excited that he slipped on his own powder or whatever that was he poured on.
But at least with the cards, you kind of felt like, they're doing this because they want to be free.
Yes.
And their lives depend on it. And this is their hope, one chance that as they're being tortured. And this is their one chance at getting their lives back. And then it's just, they are just fed to these chairs. And it's it's pretty grim.
Well, they didn't mind sacrificing the fool.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
And
he was no fool, though, was he?
Because he ran away.
Exactly.
Right.
And everything. He said, "No, I'm not going to sit in one of those chairs. You go do it." And it was interesting that they did that. And I also, there was, it was on Steven and Dodo. They lied right to the card's face. Oh, there's no more dolls, even though there were 3 more dolls.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, Steven did. Dodo was like, why did you lie?
Well, exactly. So it was interesting for sure. I'm going to give this one I was going to say a 3.5, but I think that's being too generous. And I'm going to go back there. I'm going to be where Mary is. I'm going to give a 3 because I enjoyed it. I liked it. I had fun with it. Yes, it was repetitive, but it was first Doctor Who. Those stories weren't all that great in the first place. There's some, couple that are really good, but overall, a lot of them are really weak. And I went in with very low expectations, especially had seen pictures of this animation, and I liked it.
I mean, it feels like they're still finding their way here.
Well, exactly.
It feels like even though, I mean, this is several episodes in, we're already on different companions, but
right.
Yeah, well, this is the third season.
I think this is his third season.
But it does still feel like they're still trying to figure out what it is they want to be.
Well, exactly. Are they a children's show, or are they a adult, more adult style show?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that they're still a kid's show.
Oh, yeah. But they were still trying to find their path. And you could also feel, it needed more Hartnell in this story. And that was sort of.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Hartnell, and I know he had his issues, especially around the last season, and this is, close to that. But I do. That's why I watch these, because I really like watching his performance as the Doctor. I think he is really good. And like I said, the moments where in the beginning where he first confronts the Toymaker, and even at the end where he kind of bests him, those are my favorite 2 parts of this. So that's why I would say, watch the first episode and last episode and you're good.
Exactly. Well, pretty much.
And, really I don't know, in addition to the TARDISes, I don't know if we need like a Chibnall scale, but I would rather watch Flux again than watch this.
Again.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, on that note, feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to tell us. Leave, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Leave your thoughts on this episode underneath. Or if you're on Facebook, please, we'd love to have a discussion going about what you guys thought about it. Did you like the animation? Did you not? Did you watch in black and white, or did you watch it in color? That's, we're curious about. So definitely, we'd love to hear from you guys and, have you guys involved with this. This is the cool stuff about it. We'll be back again, of course, in 2 weeks. And we're going back to the Matt Smith era in 2 weeks. We are looking at Vampires of Venice. And that should be a ton of fun, and it doesn't bite all that badly. So it's pretty cool. So it should be fun. Of course, folks, please, if you've made it this far, like and subscribe. That's the best way to do it. And, it's all we could do. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. And ring that bell while you're at it. Of course, you'll be reminded when we have new content and new material up there. All right. Let's thank our regulars for being here. Mr. Mike, thank you as always.
And as always, it's been my pleasure.
You've got Monsterama coming up right around the corner.
I do. Monsterama is coming up. It is April. It is August 9th and through the 11th. And I will be there all 3 days. I am the track director for the literature and comics and art track. So we've got some great programming there. If anybody's interested in going to Monsterama and is interested in being on a panel, I'd be glad to share my schedule. I'm still looking for a couple of panelists for a couple of the topics that we've got. So feel free to reach out to me, but I hope to see everybody there. It's a fun show. It's in the Atlanta area, Atlanta, Hilton, Northeast, I think that's what it's called. But it's right there on Norcross, and it's a fun show. It's one I'm glad to be part of, and I hope to see everybody there.
Awesome. And Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Thank you. It's always happy to be here.
How can people find your artwork?
They can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Awesome. Thank you always, folks at home. We appreciate you. If you're at San Diego Comic-Con and watching us, thank you. We appreciate it. I hope you guys
had a face. Look on your face. Why?
I almost said that.
Because you couldn't get into Hall H, so you turned to us.
Yeah.
Exactly. What, they might be listening to us while they're waiting in line for a hall.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That is true.
And it's usually a very long wait to get into Hall H.
Yeah.
So
You got 5 hours to kill.
5 hours. I think I waited 7 hours. And 7 hours with a 10-year-old is not a ton of fun.
People camp out overnight.
I remember people were camping out. I remember the same year it was still the Twilight movies were still coming out, and they camped out overnight to get into Hall H for that.
Well, that was not worth it.
No, definitely not. But I bet those people feel really good about that now. So,
well, for some people it might have been. So, hey,
same people who are like really happy about.
I'm not fandom shaming.
No, I wasn't fandom shaming. I was just about to say it's the same people who did the Celestial Toymaker. So, you know.
I doubt that. But
no.
Yeah.
On behalf of all three of us, thank you so much. We'll see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Have fun, folks, and we'll have a great summer. Peace, and we are done.
Bye.
You've been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.